You guys remember former Victorian Liberal MP Tim Smith, right?
I'm an idiot.
That's him. He's the guy that could turn cinnamon donuts into some kind of phallic symbol.
Oh, behave.
You might remember that Tim's political career hit the skids in 2021.
Tim Smith's political career is in tatters tonight after crashing his car at almost triple the legal limit. The outspoken Liberal MP, who's made his name by demanding high standards, has been forced to quit the shadow ministry in disgrace.
Writing off his Jaguar buried in the fence of this Hawthorn home, Tim Smith clipped another car, flattened a stop sign and has all but killed his own political career.
He was trying to get out, he was trying to reverse.
Anyway, it's interesting to see where people pop up. After cremating his political career, Smith skipped off to the UK where he spent a couple of years working for a conservative news channel, before he recently made the move to Israel. Tim's now the senior advisor to the Deputy Foreign Minister of Israel, Sharren Haskel. The latest episode in the Tim Smith saga had kind of passed me by. I really just stumbled across this in a bit of a bizarre 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon type way, kind of like a side quest. It was while I was researching the last video, I was browsing reports from the ABC Ombudsman. One of those reports related to an interview on 7:30 with Sharren Haskel. Being the ignorant pickle that I am, I googled the name, which eventually brought me back to good old Tim. Decided to check out that 7:30 interview because based on the Ombudsman's report, the ABC received 27 complaints that the interviewer, David Spears, had demonstrated an anti-Israel bias for reasons that included repeatedly interrupting the interviewee, challenging the interviewee's answers, God forbid, and not including relevant context about Iran's nuclear program and human rights abuses. Probably not surprising if you actually watch the interview, but the Deputy Ombudsman concluded that the program did not breach the ABC's editorial standards for impartiality. You can find the full interview on the ABC YouTube channel and form your own opinion, but really the complaints would appear laughable in my view. I mean, when David Spears asks Haskel about the scenes of starvation in Gaza, and this is her response, how could anyone complain about Spears challenging her answers?
David, there is no starvation in Gaza. Every report that came out was mentioning that this is a possibility for a future scenario, like an imminent threat or anything like that. It means it can happen in the future.
When he asks her about the people killed by tank fire while trying to collect food and water, and he even mentions the existence of video of the event, and this is her response, how could anyone complain about Spears challenging her answers?
We know Israel is still trying to eliminate Hamas there, but according to local medics, civilians queuing up for food have been killed. Gazan health officials say 59 people were killed and more than 200 injured when an Israeli tank opened fire at a crowd waiting for an aid truck. How on earth could this happen?
So, first of all, it's important to say that for the last 3 weeks, there's been many reports, many of them were misleading as well, from Hamas stating also event that didn't happen. This specific event that you're referring to, the IDF also have told me they are looking and investigating whether this actually happened or didn't happen. When I have the details, whether it did happen or not, I'll be able to share it with you.
So you're disputing this happened at all, despite the video of the aftermath?
The IDF is investigating to understand whether there was or wasn't, and if there was, what actually happened there. We've seen Hamas propaganda for the last 2 years. I would suggest, and just a suggestion to you, to wait until we have also our investigation done to understand all of the details and what actually happened.
When Spears asks her about claims coming out of Israel that Iran was less than 6 months away from building a nuclear weapon, and Haskel spends minutes dancing around the subject, I think these are the sorts of questions you should expect of an interviewer.
Minister, can I come to your point about Israel having to do this at the last minute and the claim from your Prime Minister that Iran was very close to developing a nuclear weapon? What is the evidence to back that claim?
But isn't there an onus
on the Israeli government to produce some of this intelligence that you're talking about here? Because, we've seen this story before in the Middle East. And Benjamin Netanyahu has been saying for years, for decades, that Iran is very close to having a nuclear weapon.
Just to cut in here for a second, I mean to say Spears is not wrong. Netanyahu's been warning Iran was close to having its own nuclear weapons for over 30 years. In 1992, he said that Iran was 3 to 5 years from assembling a nuclear weapon. In his book, released in 1995, he warned that Iran was 5 to 7 years away at most. It continued throughout the 90s and early 2000s, before he took things to the next level in 2012.
The Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has made 2 tough-talking TV appearances, saying that Iran is just months away from making a nuclear bomb and urged the US to draw a red line before it is too late. He then controversially added that beyond a certain point, Israel would attack Iran even without US support.
They're very close. They're 6 months away from being about 90% of having the enriched uranium for an atom bomb.
In the case of Iran's nuclear plans to build a bomb, this bomb has to be filled with enough enriched uranium. And Iran has to go through 3 stages. The first stage, they have to enrich enough low enriched uranium. The second stage, they have to enrich enough medium enriched uranium. And the third stage and final stage, they have to enrich enough high enriched uranium for the first bomb. Where's Iran? Iran's completed the first stage. Took them many years, but they completed it, and they're 70% of the way there. Now they're well into the second stage. And by next spring, at most, by next summer, at current enrichment rates, they will have finished the medium enrichment and move on to the final stage. From there, it's only a few months, possibly a few weeks, before they get enough enriched uranium for the first bomb.
So yeah, I reckon it's a fair question to ask for just a little evidence given that sort of track record.
We've seen military misadventures in the Middle East in the past based on faulty intelligence, and that then leads to waves of terrorism. So can you understand some people saying, we'd like to see the evidence?
So yeah, anyway.
David, there is no starvation in Gaza.
That's Tim Smith's new boss, and he's now advising her apparently.
I'm an idiot.
Oddly enough, I guess, given the carnage within the Victorian Liberal Party, I'd been starting to wonder if we'd see Tim Smith pop up again to try and restart his political career. Maybe there's not enough water under the bridge for Tim to return to the Victorian Liberal Party just yet. But if the reports in The Australian are correct and his current Israeli government position pays him so poorly that people are passing the hat around in Melbourne to supplement his salary, then perhaps we'll see Tim back in town before too long.